Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Radiance Effect podcast, where the goal is to help you shine from the inside out. I'm your host, Brittany Janelle. Now, before we get into it, I just want to do a quick little pulse check. How y'all feeling? How you doing? It's so crazy because I can't believe that this summer is almost over and that it's already August. Like, where in the world has this time gone? It's definitely flying by. But hopefully y'all have had a great summer. Hopefully you've been able to take, some fun trips, maybe make some fun memories, enjoy the sun. I could tell you one thing, being in Houston is hot. It's always hot. It's still not as hot as my first year here in 2023, but let me tell you, it's still cooking. And it's different than the Michigan heat that I'm used to. But that's all right. Give me a couple more years and I might be a full-on Houstonian by that point. I think so. But it wouldn't be like me to just do a check-in and not also be transparent on how I've been doing and how I've been feeling. I've had a great summer. I've done lots of traveling. I've made lots of memories. But I will be transparent in saying that over the last couple of weeks, I've really been in my head about things. And I'm someone who will always do my best to show up as my authentic self and be transparent as I feel led. I was truly in my head about work, about relationships, my faith, podcast episodes, and what I was putting out. And I was really confused on where it was all coming from. So what I decided to do is I did a little fast, not necessarily from like specific foods, but other things that were distracting me. And I also got more intentional with the things that I was reading, the things I was watching, and the things I was listening to, and what was fueling me. And in one of my check-in conversations with my mentor, we did a bit of a deep dive, as we normally do when I talk to her. And I realized something, that I started feeling way more in my head because over the last few months, the opportunities that I've had have truly stretched me. From things like hosting events, to being interviewed on podcasts, to releasing my own podcast, to being asked about upcoming speaking engagements. And I immediately started getting in my head because it was something that was way different and it felt like it was happening so fast, if I'm being honest with you. As I took a second to think a little bit deeper, I told my mentor that it came from a place of being stretched and of wanting to be in my comfort zone when I'm being propelled to step out of my comfort zone. And the thing is, no one's forcing me. I've had every opportunity to say no. But have you ever just had a knowing that it was something that you were meant or supposed to do? There's been several times like that for me over life that I've truly had moments that I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. One of the most recent is when I relocated to Houston. For those that have been pretty close to me over the years, I wouldn't say that Houston was a surprise. I'd actually been talking about moving to Houston since 2012 when my brother moved here. And also I attempted to move 3 other times. I came down here and I visited a college. I attempted to move with friends. And I also had a potential job opportunity that was going to put me in Houston, right? But for me, it wasn't until I experienced some difficulties and I just took a leap of faith a couple years ago. And I was like, you know what? I'm doing it. And it was interesting because it was something that I felt like I was always meant to do. Another example is when I think about my dream job. I used to always tell people growing up that I wanted to be a dentist or some type of doctor. But truth of the matter is, your girl is not really good at math. She's not good at science either. But I was like, you know what? It might be something I could do. But the real thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to be a motivational speaker. And I thought it was so crazy saying that because I was like, one, do they get paid? And if you listen to the last episode, I talked about pay and, allowing that to be a driving force initially. So go re-listen to that. But honestly, as I got older, I realized it wasn't about the pay. It was about the overall fulfillment. And I would have conversations with my mom about this because I said, you know what, I feel like my purpose is to pour into other people. That's what I'm passionate about. And as I continue to have more and more experiences, that's what I began doing on a more consistent basis. Another time was coaching. So you'll hear me probably reference a lot of my time as a coach. But one thing I want to also talk about was my time as an athlete, because my middle school and early high school years up until JV, I was a top performer. But there was a time between my JV season and my varsity years that I almost didn't even make the team, and a lot of people don't know that. And it's crazy to think that I went from almost not making the team to working so hard to becoming a coach and having had the opportunity to coach over 125 athletes. And crazy enough, when I almost didn't make the team, that almost stopped me from wanting to even try out the next season, because I had all these thoughts in my head like, I almost didn't make it this time. I want to keep going. I'm probably not good enough. But there was something that kept telling me that it's what I was meant to do, that was bigger than me. And to be thinking that way as a 16 or 17-year-old girl just blows my mind looking back at it. But that's what it was. I was like, you know what? I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. Let me not give up on myself. Those are just a few examples of when I started giving an intentional yes to not necessarily where I was in the moment, but to the future that I was building and the places that I was going. What if I told you that one thing that separates you from the next level of bigger is your way of thinking? There's so many different things that will impact your way of thinking. And I get that. I understand it. But honestly, if we reflect on some of those things that's caused you to think the way that you think, yes, they betrayed you. Yes, you got hurt in life. Yes, you experienced trauma. Yes, you thought poorly about yourself. Yes, you have done some things that you regret. But you know what? Today's a day that we're going to take a step forward and let that go. Give yourself permission to heal, permission to forgive, permission to grow, permission to love yourself deeper, permission to love, trust, and let others in again. I speak from a place of experience, not just words coming out my mouth. I've gone through some things too, and I thought poorly of myself too. And I also had to dig myself out of some low places that tried to stop me. But one thing that I will say is what shaped me is my ability to have faith and not give up on myself. Because honestly, you're the best assignment that you'll ever have. Keep putting in the work to become a better you. Work on changing your way of thinking to see the bigger that's coming. Let's put it out there. Let's work on correcting the way that you think and see yourself. It's important to speak life and light over yourself. And with doing so, I like to walk through affirming statements. Because you know what? It's time to get out of your own way and to speak against the thoughts that try to slow you down or stop you. If you're driving, maybe at the gym, getting ready for work, I want you to say these out loud. But if you're at home and if you have a moment, take a moment. I challenge you. Close your eyes or look in the mirror and repeat these affirmations after me. I'm bigger than my mistakes. I'm not defined by my past. There is purpose in my story. I shine from within, and that light is contagious to those around me. My circumstances are temporary. Power, strength, and victory lies on the other side. Every step I take brings me closer to my purpose. I trust the timing of my life and the journey that's ahead. I am bigger than what's trying or tried to break me. My light is needed and my story matters. I'm bigger than my past mistakes. They are not what defines me. I acknowledge and embrace the areas that I need to heal. I am worthy of all the good things in life. My vulnerability is a strength. It's not a weakness. I am not afraid to show up as my authentic self. There's beauty in who I am and who I'm becoming. I radiate confidence, peace, and purpose. I silence the noise that tries to hold me back or cause me to self-sabotage. There is meaning in my journey, even when I don't see it yet. I continue to show up for myself in all circumstances and in all aspects. I trust the process even when the path is unclear. I don't chase material things to bring me peace. I create peace from within. I am becoming who I was always meant to be. I really want to take the time to have an affirming moment. When I was at my lowest of lows, I would not only say affirmations, I would record myself many times doing it. And the reason being, I had to speak life into my situation even when I couldn't see it. I had to remind myself of not only who I was, but who I was becoming. And throughout your journey, and as you elevate, there will be things that will try to dim your light to make you think less of yourself and who God says you are. But you must continue to tone down the noise and speak light into all areas of your life. And always remember that you're worthy of good things in life. It starts by you understanding the ability to heal, overcome, and achieve and live out your purpose. And I know in the moment it can be so easy to say, I can't even think about that right now, right? Because you're so consumed with where you're at in the moment. But I really want to challenge you to think beyond your current circumstances and to start thinking in the future. Because I want you to see that there's so much potential, that there's so many opportunities for you. You just have to get out of your own head and start speaking it over your own life. You got to cover yourself. There's always going to be things that are going to try to tear you down, to make you have low self-esteem, to make you think that you aren't capable, to make you think that you're not good enough, to make you think that this situation is too difficult to overcome, or to make you think that you're crazy about some of the goals and the ideas that you have, right? I want you to push past that. If you could just get so in touch with your mind and the way that you see yourself and the way that you talk to yourself and the things that you believe that you're able to accomplish, that's such a huge thing. And that's one thing that will continue to keep pouring into is the mind, the battle of the minds, and thinking differently about the things that try to get you to pull back and to not take that leap of faith when you know it's something that you're meant to do. That's why today's episode is called Uncomfortable on Purpose. It's bigger than you. Because in order for you to reach a certain level in life, you're going to have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I'm going to keep saying that because it's so true. And I even have to tell my own self that, remind myself that on a consistent basis. You're going to have to get comfortable being uncomfortable and be intentional about it, right? You still need to use discernment, still go in the direction that you're led, but be intentional about the stretch. Be intentional about allowing yourself to do things that scares you because you know that's what you're meant to do. Because at the end of the day, you don't know the lives that you'll impact. You don't know the change that you'll make, but the story's already written for you. You just have to believe in yourself and know that it's bigger than you. All right, y'all. That's it for today's episode of the Radiance Effect podcast. I pray that this message has landed with you in a positive way and encouraged some reflection and positive self-talk. Do me a favor. Be sure to share this episode with a friend and follow the show on your platform of choice. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. New episodes will air every first and third Monday at 7 p.m. Until next time, bye.